Quad processors have an insane legacy. They're remembered both as an overpowered quad-core CPU from the 2000s and as a cheap option for budget gaming in the 2010s. They can be extremely overclocked to early Core i5 or i7 levels of performance, yet some can be overclocked by using tape. And its platform, LGA 775, so both Pentium 4s from early 2000s and, well, Core Quads, some of which are 5 years newer. Though, as cool as Core Quads are, can they adapt to their heritage by also being usable in 2025? I will showcase Core Quads by using a Core Quad Q9300, a lower-end Q9 something CPU. Yet I chose it specifically since it is almost identical to the most widespread Core Quad Q6600 in terms of performance, all while being cooler and having more up-to-date instruction set. I've used a basic ASUS logic board, which, crucially, has a G41 chipset. Not every 775 board will know how to work with quad cores. It is paired with 8 GB of RAM and an RX 550, a 2 GB version of the card, since it is one of the most powerful, reasonable to pair graphics card with this processor. Gaming benchmarks will be run from easy to run to hard to run titles. Half-Life 2, on the highest settings, in 1080p, ran at anywhere from 100 to 200 frames per second. Minor stutters could happen sometimes, but otherwise, the game ran very well. Valorant, on the lowest settings, in 1080p, with uncapped FPS, would fluctuate at about 70 to 80 frames per second, with strong stutters and freezes. Locking the frame rate to 60 and enabling withing does mostly fix that, and the game, while still not running very fluidly, does become a lot more playable. GTA 5, on the lowest settings, in 1080p, with the withing set to half, is indeed playable. Frame rate is relatively stable, and while textures do seem to pop sometimes, it does not affect the experience hugely in this case. Yet, when you uncap the frame rate, it does increase to about 40 FPS, though textures start to disappear and strong freezes also catch up to you, reminding that you're using a CPU as powerful as one in a normal 7-year-old phone. You really should not play GTA 5 online though. With Withink enabled on the same low settings, you can just about play with cinematic 24 frames per second, in easy locations and small lobbies. Otherwise, you will be stuck with an unplayable game. Surprisingly enough, Forza Horizon 4 did not start at all in this system, even though it should have ran fine. Moving up to the next league, modern and very broken shooters, PUBG actually launched in 720p on the lowest preset, but when you land it literally gets 2 frames per minute. It can actually run when you lower the render resolution and disable the inbuilt Windows antivirus, but even then you will get 15 to 20 frames per second. Moving up, once again, to modern AAA titles, Cyberpunk crashes upon loading, and Silent Hill 2, while actually allowing you to enter the game, crashes upon trying to spawn you in. Once you get to easy tasks though, the CPU is still surprisingly okay. With a solid-state drive and a cut-down version of Windows 10, it can open basic apps quickly, you can easily browse the web, and you still can watch videos on YouTube in 1080p. You can even just about stick a few 1080p clips together and do some basic edits, such as cutting the clip or adding subtitles, though it will be a rough experience, to say the least. In terms of usability though, this processor has an ace up its sleeve. It can easily run Windows 7 or XP, allowing you to make it a beastly retro experience machine, both for gaming and, possibly, productivity in older software, while still being able to provide you with a passable experience in Windows 10. In conclusion, this CPU still holds up impressively well, considering that it's almost 17 years old. While it definitely can't run modern AAA titles, neither it can be seated for serious work to be done on it. These processors are still usable for the basics, all while allowing you to play older games. Should you buy one today though? Obviously, no. You really should not use it in your main system, and while you can build a great retro system with it, for an almost the same dirt cheap price, you should really consider building an LGA 1156 system with a Core i7. It will give you much more power, all while being almost equally as good for retro tasks, and at the same time will be much more usable as a main machine if you want to experiment with daily driving old hardware. I can only recommend buying a Cortex Quad if you already have an LGA 775 system you would like to upgrade, or if you want to specifically try using a Cortex Quad in 2025.